Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Unnamed Sports Show right here on Gorilla Cross Radio, GorillaCross.com. I'm your host, Quan59, and we have a big show for you today. NBA draft is happening, folks. So there's a lot going on, a lot of trades, a lot of trade rumors. Who's going to be second pick and third pick? We already know the first pick, so we're going to get into all that today right here on the show. And with me is a regular great co-host, my man, Coach Jay Jones. What's good?
How you doing, man? I'm good.
Doing good, man. How you feeling?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
You ready
I'm not
for
getting
this?
drafted tonight?
You ready for this draft? You want to get drafted?
Yeah. I think I'm
ready?
I'm ready.
You finally
I'm where
ready?
I need to be.
If you were to get drafted, who would you want to get drafted by? And I'm not even saying your favorite team. Like, who would you fit best in the NBA?
That is a very interesting question. Honestly, I would like to play. I do not like him, but I would like to play with Joel Embiid. A pick and roll guy. You know, I was better off the pick and roll.
Yeah.
Allowing the defense to kind of shift and the ball to come back to me and be able to shoot out of a defensive rotation, make a team pay out of a defensive rotation. I was usually better shooting that way. So as much as I'm not necessarily a fan of him, I would probably like to play with him. I like a guy that's a big screener, opens wide. You know, I think I would be good with him.
What could you do to help Joel Embiid?
It's all between the 13 inches of how big his head is.
Yeah,
13
that's
inches between the ears for him. I think that's what it is. I think he needs to become a better locker room guy, and that's why I think that my guy Lowry would be good with him, because I think they need a locker room presence guy that can get these young guys going, because their leadership is an issue right now. I think that he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I think he's gotten a little bit more serious in these last couple of years, but I don't think that he gives them in the locker room what some of these other guys give him, like a joker. You know, and I think I think that's where he needs to get better. I think physically he's where he needs to be.
All right. And I got my man all the way from Almond Tree Lane, right up the street here. My man, Dre Bailey. Let the ball bounce every Saturday, 2 p.m. West Coast time. Dre, what's good?
What's up with it, man? Appreciate you having me, G.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you coming through, man. I know it's a busy day.
I think this is the first time I've been on with Shay.
Yeah.
I've been knowing Shay.
The funny thing
This
is,
might be the NBA show right here, to be honest, when we pop it off next season.
that's
You
a
know what I'm
great
saying?
point.
We've been talking about that for
that's
2
a great
years.
point. The funny thing is, I have probably talked with Dre more than anybody. Like, we always I don't think we've ever talked.
And you've never been
less
on
than
Let the
10
Ball
minutes.
Bounce?
One time.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
one time.
Yep.
Not in my studio, though. Was that back in the day, or what was it?
Yeah.
I think it was this
Oh, it was
year.
here. Okay.
Yeah. It's about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. We talk all the time. Like you said, it ain't been less than 10 minutes.
And we've never talked less than 10 minutes. And this is going back to like 92,
Yeah,
93, you know what I mean? So a lot of these shows were done in my bedroom at
Facts.
Yeah.
that was the birthplace of Let the Ball Bounce, right?
That's real talk.
That's dope.
That's real.
All right, Dre, I'm going to ask you the same question. If you got drafted tonight, who would you want to get drafted by, and what could you do for that team?
I would say Miami Heat.
Because Bam can't make a layup.
Oh.
Bam can't make a layup. Sometimes he misses, sometimes he don't. I'd say Miami Heat, man. I don't have a favorite NBA team, but if I was to root for one, it would be the Heat. And not saying the Heat because, that would be one of my favorite teams, but the fact that they'll take a chance on guys that aren't really highly drafted and things like that. And so I would probably fit in that mode of them actually giving me a shot.
Yeah.
And I think I could, add some value towards for the Miami Heat. So I would say the Miami Heat.
All right, for sure, man. I wouldn't play for anyone.
I'm sure of it.
CC Cox. Listen, no, I used to be a good shooter. I used to be able to shoot, and I was a good passer. I was one of those, because I grew up in the Magic Johnson era, and so I'd be on the playground, the during lunch at Cimarron, doing my no-look passes, hitting people in the head. You know what I'm saying? They weren't ready for it back then. But yeah, I'm excited, man. The NBA draft is always fun. The problem I have with the draft these days, and you're probably a lot better than me at this, Coach Shay, is the one and dones, the overseas, like it's a lot harder these days to keep up with who's coming into the draft. So we know Victor Wembanyama. I'm gonna
There
get that
you
soon.
go.
Victor Wembanyama is going to be the number 1 pick by the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah.
We know that's going to happen. So now the question mark is number 2 and 3. What is Charlotte going to do? And then going beyond that, 5 through 10 and stuff like that. And then, for all the Laker fans out there, I'm a Laker fan. We got number 17 for the Lakers. Who goes number 17? Do Lakers trade that? So let's get into the draft rumors. I'm going to pull up a picture real quick, though, because there was a question about the GOAT. And is he trolling or not? Our man, Brandon Miller, who's going to be either second or third pick in the draft. He says, I actually don't think LeBron is the GOAT. My GOAT of basketball is Paul George. Is he?
I don't think he's trolling because look how old he is, right? So, I mean, he may have his favorite, and I think maybe Paul George is his favorite. And look how young he is. He's what, 18, 19 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, he's too young to have even watched real Michael Jordan play.
Yeah.
Like Shay and I, not trying to age us, but we've actually seen like real games in real time. Some of these highlights that all these youngsters are seeing, like I remember being at home on the couch actually watching that game in real time.
And LeBron James was in his second year when Brandon Miller was born.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dre, I also watched George Gervin and I also watched Jerry West because I love basketball.
Right.
And since I love basketball, I'm going to pay attention to it. I think Tyler Perry probably watched a lot of Francis Ford Coppola movies.
Pretty sure he did.
Because that's your craft.
Yeah.
Okay. Ignorance is no excuse. Okay. So
Is that a problem in the, not even just the NBA, but with the young generation in general, even going to hip hop? We've talked about this on Let the Ball Bounce with hip hop. Like these young guys don't care about the history that they're entering into.
You're 100% right. And I think, listen, the question wasn't who's your favorite player. Mm-hmm. The question was, who do you think is the GOAT? Now, you can have your opinion one way or the other, but you can't say LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then you say Marcus Banks. Like, that's not in the conversation. And you lose all levels of credibility when you throw out a name that, like Paul George isn't even the best player on his team. Like, come on. Like, but with that being said, I respect this game. I think the kid is going to be good. He needs to play well because if not, he'll be another guy who'll forever be attached to that ridiculous statement.
And I think that statement just goes to who Brandon Miller is, right? One of the knocks of him coming out of college was his head wasn't really wrapped too tight, right? And so that's why there's been a lot of questions and a lot of interviews being thrown at him. They want to see how he's able to conduct himself when answering certain questions and things like that. And so, I mean, that didn't help him by saying, Paul George was the GOAT. Paul George wouldn't even his name. And I love Paul George. I love basketball.
I love his bounce back.
Right.
I love the way he came back.
But Paul George would never have even thought of his name ever.
That's why I feel like he has to be trolling. You know what I'm saying? He just picked a random good player.
I know he was serious when he was talking about it, though.
See, I didn't see the video clip of him actually talking about it.
Like I will say this. I think he's seriously a fool. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I mean, Paul George, he's the GOAT in his family. I think he's the best George.
It's the best George.
Yeah, he's the best George.
I don't even think he was the best pacer, let alone the best Clipper or the best Thunder.
No.
So what are we talking about?
And wherever he played college.
Pretty much.
Where did he play college?
Fresno.
Oh, yeah, Fresno. That's right.
Definitely wasn't.
He's been following Kawhi's footsteps for a long time.
Yeah.
I'll take Chris Herron over Paul George in college.
We're going to go in the rabbit hole of Andre Jones, great shot blocker.
See?
Chris Herron was a dog, though.
Yeah, he was a dog.
Don't forget about Skip. Skip was there.
Yeah.
Skip was there.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Skip was there. Yeah. And the Godfather himself.
Yeah.
Jerry Tarkanian played at Fresno.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, man. I mean, these young dudes coming in, and here's the thing. I'm not sure how the question was asked. I mean, it was probably just like, "Who's the GOAT?" But
Or who's your GOAT?
you know, they're trying to trick. They're trying to trick these young guys into some, clickbait as well, and they want to get them started off in the NBA on the wrong foot. So you have to be careful, but you have to be around the right people to answer those questions right, because we know LeBron's petty. We know LeBron's going to light him up for 40. That's not going to be a game he misses.
But we also
next
know
year.
he was going to do that regardless.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
he was going to do that regardless. So now it's just something to, yeah, that was ridiculous.
Paul George ain't it.
No.
No, not even playoff P.
Matter of fact, he might be better than Paul George.
That remains.
That's the matchup I want to see, him and
Yeah,
Paul George.
yeah.
Because is he saying that after he outplays Paul George, now he's the GOAT?
Hey, that's smart thinking right there.
Is it a setup?
It could be. It could be. All right, NBA draft is tonight. It's coming up in about an hour right now. Will be the first pick. We all know Victor Wembanyama is going to be number 1 to San Antonio. We've talked about it before. Is he going to be as great staying healthy? You know, obviously health always with any sport. You have to stay healthy. But if he stays healthy, can he be a top 10 player of all time?
I believe so. I think he has intangibles that separate him from a lot of people that you would put him in a category with. I mean, when you start talking about other bigs, the only big, quote unquote big, and I say big, any guy over 6'9", let's say, right, that you could arguably put with him would be Durant. Just of the scoring ability, the way he can score in 3 different levels. I mean, this kid made 54 threes last year.
That's
so it's
wild.
not a fluke.
Yeah.
He can knock down the 3. I sent you a clip of him. Dre, I might have sent it to you too. He shot a jump shot, a 3-pointer off the bounce, step back. It came off the
Missed.
rim, and he followed it with the
What a
tip dunk.
Looked like Dominique, but
It was
Dominique.
crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So, like, his skill, so he can handle. And listen, all of these things he's going to get better at.
Yeah.
He's going to get better at just because of what he's around.
And because he's only 18.
And he's only 18.
Yeah.
And God forbid, if he just puts on 25 pounds.
And did you get the quote? People keep saying I need to up my weight and gain weight. He said there's some people that need to lower their weight maybe.
Well, I mean, Joker did, and it worked for him, right? And everybody been saying the same thing for KD, and we're still waiting for him to put on weight, right?
And he hasn't needed to. So, he's probably gained 20 pounds maybe since Texas.
Maybe. And it doesn't even matter at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just, slim reaper at this point. But I think he's in a great situation. It's funny because right before the picks came out, I said, he's a big man. I would love for Pop to just have a little bit of influence on him. And boop, San Antonio. I didn't think they would get number 1, but they got it. And I think that, being over with Pop, I think it's just going to help him. It's going to help him mature mentally, and he's going to definitely work on his fundamentals over there. I mean, you still got Tim Duncan that's working over there. You still got David Robinson. Everybody kind of still stays close to home in San Antonio, so I think it's going to be a good look for him.
The best thing that I think is going to happen that's going to make sure he doesn't stray too far is the fact that Tony Parker is a mentor to him. I call him the Paris Spurs. That's France's team.
Right.
That's France's team.
Yep.
And I think that Tony Parker is going to make sure that he doesn't fall by the wayside, which if you've heard him, you've seen him in interviews, he's more like Tim Duncan.
Yep.
Kind of a low kill, even kill kind of a kid. His skill set is unbelievable. I don't think there's going to be any problem.
He's a way more athletic version of Tim Duncan, I think.
He has
and can shoot the 3, and I mean, he can just do so much more.
Yeah, I guess technically he's more athletic, right? But I think the game is different.
He comes in with more upside than Tim Duncan did when he was in college.
Yeah.
And Tim Duncan in Wake Forest, remember that championship game? He had 1 point, 1 rebound, right?
Yeah.
I was the one that was saying, I don't know about Tim Duncan. I don't think he's going to be that good. Well, Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
He's coming in with way more upside. He can shoot the 3. He can still take you off the dribble. He's a great rebounder, great shot blocker. All those things Tim Duncan's were, but Victor can definitely shoot the ball.
Yeah, he can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, just understand what he can do just out of pick and roll basketball alone.
Yeah.
Like, he's a threat on the roll. He's a threat on the pop. who else is a dual threat as a screener in that situation? There's very few guys. Very few guys.
He's definitely going to have to your point, Quan, put on a little bit of weight and a little bit of muscle just so he can sustain not getting into major injuries, right? And we've seen that with the pick from Oklahoma City Thunder.
Chet Holmgren.
He got hurt, man, and it was done, right? And so I don't want to see that happen to this guy, but we'll see.
And we were talking about that before we started. Chet Holmgren, that might have been a good thing for him to miss the whole year, to maybe bulk up a little bit. And like Coach Shea was saying, to be able to look at the game from the outside looking in, I think that helped Ben Simmons. Obviously not now, but those first couple years when he missed that whole year in Philly in second and third and fourth year, I think that helped him.
I'm not, God forbid injuries. I'm not advocating injuries, but they are a lot of times a blessing in disguise for players, especially young players. They give them an opportunity. I mean, you can argue that the injury to Michael Jordan his second year in the league was probably one of the best things that happened to him.
Yeah.
It made him reevaluate his game and what it is that he needed to do. And you see that with a lot of players. Injury gives you a perspective where you're able to just watch the game, because if you haven't had an injury, and like a lot of these players haven't had, they've dominated for so long that they've never had a chance to sit back and watch the game with no pressure, just watching the game. Yep. And picking up what pet peeves of the coaching staff is, or looking at their teammates and seeing where guys are most comfortable, and being able, when guys come to the sideline being upset, just being able to develop their leadership skills, because now you're talking to your teammates and you're not in a situation to bail your teammates out. You're in a situation where you just got to talk them up. Yep. So now when you're on the floor and you're talking them up, it's a whole different ball game. So Chet Holmgren, I think, is going to be much, much better for the mere fact he's matured both mentally, physically. And I think that it really, really helps. I think it really helps. And you see that with a lot of players, and not just basketball, a lot of different sports.
And then even going for OKC, they ended up making the playoffs without him. So how good are they going to be, with him coming back? And, they even have some draft picks because, they had like 90 draft picks in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So, they have a very bright future over there in Oklahoma City. So that's a team that's going to be very dangerous in the upcoming years.
I mean, look at our world champions, Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. These are two guys that had serious injuries. We just, the aforementioned GOAT, Paul George, this is another guy had an injury. And with that injury, just really got a different perspective on things. I think it's humbling, to say the least.
Yep. All right. So we know Victor's going number 1. Going 2 and 3. Charlotte Hornets have the second pick. So we're pretty sure the 2 and 3, we're not positive the order, but it's going to be Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller. Who do you think Charlotte should take, and who do you think they will take? Because they haven't had a great draft in a long time. They've had some weird picks. I mean, they got LaMelo, who's been up and down. He won Rookie of the Year. I'm not sure if anyone in this room thinks he should have won Rookie of the Year over Anthony Edwards.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I do not.
I
but,
don't.
A lot of people don't.
It was a toss-up. I just think he missed too many games to even be able to get it.
But there's a caveat to it. It's not like this guy didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
This guy deserved it more. There's a third and fourth guy who absolutely didn't deserve it.
Definitely.
I think it was an argument between those two. Yeah. I think that Charlotte, and knowing Scoot personally and playing with him, listen, I love Scoot.
Yeah.
But I think Charlotte should pick Brandon Miller. I think they're going to pick Brandon Miller. And I wouldn't be so surprised as that whole GOAT thing might have just been a ruse. What I mean? I think.
And Brandon's actually 20 years old.
He's 20.
20, yeah.
So, listen, I think that if you look at playing with LaMelo, who's going to play better with LaMelo? This is a kid who can put the ball on the floor. He can do some things. Scoot is a guy
Scoot's going to want the ball.
Scoot's going to want the ball, and he's going to need the ball.
He's going to need it, yeah.
He's going to get lost in the forest amongst the trees if he doesn't have the ball in his hands. Whereas this kid can make plays off the ball, and he can also make defensive plays that Scoot wouldn't be even in proximity to make. So I think that him playing alongside LaMelo is a lot better for Charlotte than Scoot.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to agree. I'm going to have to say that Miller he just fits better with what Charlotte has going on. Now, do I think he's a better player than Scoot? To me, it could be a toss-up, right? I want a dog. I'm not saying that Brandon Miller isn't.
Scoot definitely is.
Scoot could be a dog. You know,
Scoot's a dog.
if you get him under the right coaching tutelage,
Yeah.
he can get you 30 on any
Yeah.
given night,
Yes.
right?
You spot
But
on.
for what you have in Charlotte, LaMelo Ball being able to have a wing guy that can run the lanes, get other people involved, get himself involved, and fit with that system, kind of what they got going on. Miller's your guy.
So Dre, with Brandon being Brandon no matter what, and Scoot being Scoot no matter what, which one of those two make LaMelo better?
You know, I'm gonna say Miller.
Yeah, see, that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I don't think Scoot makes Melo
not
better.
at all.
No,
Not at all.
Scoot's gonna make Scoot better.
Exactly.
Right.
And,
So the thing
and
you're
then you
looking
get
at
them
if they-
competing against
yeah.
each other, not in a negative way, but
Right.
it's your turn, my turn type of a
Right.
thing. I think it's a two-headed monster with Brandon.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And listen, Scoot is a dog.
Yeah.
Scoot is a dog. I've spent time with him. He's Marcus Banks. He's got a lot of Marcus in him. Like he's just like nobody's going to outplay me. Nobody's tougher than me.
Right.
And that's 6'2". You need that. You just
Yeah.
maybe 6'3". You know what I mean? But Brandon, as far as working side by side with LaMelo, I think that's going to be good. It's going to be fun to watch.
Interesting.
So if Charlotte does pick Scoot Henderson, knowing that, right? Knowing that, LaMelo's been hurt a lot. Are they not trusting LaMelo if they pick Scoot Henderson, and might he be on the way out?
You know, that's a great question because LaMelo has missed a lot of time, right? And so if you do bring a Scoot Henderson in, they're like, okay, if LaMelo's out, we got Scoot that can kind of keep us afloat,
Yeah.
you know, on those days or those weeks or those months where LaMelo may be out. You never know, you know, what their thinking is. Yeah, but
For me, from a GM perspective, I think that if we're worrying about a health issue, right? And let's say LaMelo is in and out. When LaMelo is in and he's playing alongside Scoot, he has to be at an optimum level and he has to be
Yeah.
able to go when, whereas he can ease his way back into the flow of things with Brandon, and then a backup can play with Brandon.
Yeah.
A backup isn't going to have the confidence or the ego to play alongside a Scoot. Scoot is an alpha dog.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. He's an alpha dog. And even though Brandon Miller may be, as post players who don't have the ball in their hand, it's kind of like quarterbacks and wide receivers. You could be all this, that, another if you want to. Point guard is the one, is the way.
And
you're
they
gonna
say
eat.
when Scoot walks in the locker room, he takes over. Like
takes
it's just
over.
instant.
He takes over.
You have that. I mean, that
takes over.
aura. There's something about players that sometimes they just have that.
But you know, Charlotte may be thinking that too. They may not be thinking how Coach Shea and myself is thinking, you know, hey, he's going to be a good system guy. He's going to be good moving forward with the team. They may say, you know what? In our eyes, we want to take the best player available, dog, or we want to pick the best dog available, and we want Scoot. So we'll see. I've seen teams do that. I've seen teams go completely away from the scheme or what fits better with the team to just pick the dog. I've seen teams do that.
So segue into number three.
Number three.
Which I think obviously is going to be Scoot, but Portland is going to need to deal Scoot. And now Portland is in a better situation even than probably San Antonio.
Yeah.
Because now you're in a situation where you can deal the best athlete to let's say a 8, 9, or 10, a lower level team, a lower drafting team, and they don't have to have the pressure of whether or not they wasted a second or third pick.
Yeah.
So you think Portland might trade Scoot?
Interesting.
Because I think they can get a veteran and a young guy or draft picks.
Okay, so they're in a
He's more valuable than Brandon. I'll tell you that much. He's more valuable. He's
But
more
I think
valuable.
they're in a little conundrum then, because there's also the rumors of trading Damian Lillard. So you're not keeping them
Scoot and
both,
Dame
right?
can't play together.
I think
You're not keeping them both just because of the age.
way.
If you're going with Scoot and you already have Anthony Simon, like that's a dope young core, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a dope young start. But Damian got to go.
But Quan, listen. Both of them at 24 years old, Scoot and Dame can't play together.
Yeah.
Just like I said that with James Harden and what's his face. Like
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
They're not playing
It's
together.
not gonna work.
So one of them is getting traded, but I think Lillard's on his way out. I think it's time for him to go to a contender. It
He's
is.
not necessarily happy.
And I think that's the main reason why Portland will draft Scoot.
Yeah.
Because
Now you got some leverage.
now you have some leverage.
Yes.
You're bringing in a dog,
Yeah.
right? You already have a dog in Dame. I mean, in Dame Lillard, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 dogs, right? They're gonna try to make it work. We don't think that they can. They're gonna try to make it work for about a year, right? And then I think they're gonna try to move on with Dame. And now you still have a young piece in Scoot who can now have this Portland team for himself to kind of move forward and build pieces around him. And like you said, I believe that Dame Lillard at some point will be on his way out because at some point he wants to win, right?
Yeah.
But now Scoot is trying to make a name for himself. I think Portland will keep Scoot. I don't think they're going to trade him, but I think they will be looking for some suitors within the next year and a half for Dame Lillard.
Check this out. So if you're Portland, right, you look at it from this perspective. What would make Scoot a great pick for you? What kind of pieces do you want to put around him? You want a guy that can protect the basket, a guy that can get offense through Scoot getting offense, whether it's out of ball screen action, zipper action, whatever it may be, right? So you have to go out and find that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's he's going to be one of two things. He's either going to be a veteran player on the downside. Like just imagine, let's say, Blake Griffin with him.
Yeah.
It's a guy who doesn't need the ball a lot, but can facilitate some things, is strong enough. Now he can redevelop his game in a different way without the burden of being a primary piece of the offense. You know, so you start looking at teams that you can trade a Damian Lillard for and get 3 pieces.
Yeah.
Or maybe a draft pick, a first-round draft pick, another draft pick next year. So you can give the keys to Scoot now,
Yeah.
and you've already proven that we'll take a dog that can put the ball in the hole.
Yeah.
So the system is set up for a guy like Dame to take over. Not Dame, Scoot to take over. So you start working the pieces now to figure out what you can get for him if need be.
Yeah. And that would ultimately satisfy the fans too. I know they love Dame out there, but I think they're actually, when you're a fan of a team and a player that the team's not going anywhere, you eventually want your player to go get something, I think a lot of people, like the Lions fans, were like that with Stafford, when he went to LA and won the chip, like they were all LA fans.
I think that's a perfect example. That's
I think that'd be good. And seeing Dame in someplace like Miami, where they need
Let's not
somebody
forget
like
this,
that.
because I know where your heart is. Dame Lillard got bars.
Oh yeah.
So at some point in time, he's gonna want to hop in the booth.
Yeah.
He's gonna want to
big
maybe
market.
start a label. He's gonna want to do something in the industry. Because he's not a guy that just messes around freestyling on the weekends.
Yeah.
This is a dude that really
Can
got
go.
some skills. You know what I mean? So at some point in time, he's going to put the ball down and want to pick the mic up, or at least from an executive standpoint, if he's in proximity to people like Jay-Z and Jermaine Dupri's and DJ Khaled's and stuff like that, now he can venture into the whole nother world and do what Michael Jordan did with sneakers, is make more money doing that.
I just think Portland have a lot to kind of think about. I mean, you got what? Anthony Simmons, right? He's the point guard over there.
Yep.
You just got Cam Reddish over from New York. You still got Jeremy Grant, which I think he may be on the move. You got Kevin Knox. You got a couple.
Got some good young
You got
players.
some good young core, and then you're adding Scoot in. I mean, that's you can get that team right there to
And when you're a
kind of buy
rebuilding
in.
team, that's what you want. You want good young players that it's like,
Assets.
cool, we're rebuilding, but at least we could look at our future and see something,
And each one of those players I named, you could actually trade them with some value
True.
because they have a good standing name to them, besides Cam Reddish, who really needs to do
needs to prove
something
himself
this year.
somewhere.
Yeah. See, I think those type of players are more beneficial to you, because what ends up happening lots of times are with these young guys is that they come into a situation where, he's the man.
Yep.
He's 19. I'm 20. Whereas older guys who understand the way the league works
Yep.
are kind of like, listen, it's your keys, young fella. Where we going?
Yeah.
You know, so I think sometimes a lot of that youth in that locker room is like, you got a daughter, it's like having a slumber party in that other room. It's like, Lord have mercy, what's going on?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that older one to kind of calm everything down, So I think Portland goes with a veteran to bring into that locker room and put around some of those young guys and get some value. And not a veteran that's like Blake Griffin that's at the end. A veteran that's still got some gas in the tank that can come in and help him and also help with that locker room.
Yeah.
All
right, next up with the draft, before we close it out and talk about some of the trades and things going on. Number 4 and 5, the Thompson Twins. Thompson Twins are up next.
They're not ready, man.
They might not even know. They might not even know.
No, I'm talking about the song. That's
yeah.
Like, that's in my playlist.
They probably don't get it. Most people watching don't get it.
When I DJ, that's in my playlist.
Yeah, that's a good song right there. But the Thompson Twins, Amen Thompson and Ashur Thompson.
So Ashur is the more athletic one. He's the one that he's going to be on SportsCenter top 10.
Yeah. He's going to be dunking on people, shoving it down your
crossing
throat.
people, Euros and all this kind of stuff. His brother is going to start. His brother's going to be a starter. I think that, like the crazy brothers from Kansas.
Oh.
Not Collins.
No, they're crazy in a different way.
Yeah. This guy.
Stop. It's June, guys.
What is the it'll come to?
Yeah, but them. I think they got lumped into some of the same player. These two are very different. They're very different. And this is the thing. I think right now, today, Amen is better. But I think in 5 years, I think Ashur will be better because the what he's lacking in his game is shooting.
Yeah.
Shooting is the easiest thing.
Gain.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing to gain.
Yeah.
So that's why it's unfathomable to me that a player is not making money because he can't shoot the basketball. That's something you could do.
You know, a lot of times you hear when twins like go out on a day, like they pick them up and the other one will go out like just to kind of play tricks on them. I think it'd be really cool if when they call their name, the other one goes up. You wouldn't know.
That is funny.
I think that'd be hilarious.
And we don't find out for like 5-10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That'd be hilarious.
That would be dope.
But they are, they're good. They're the same age, obviously. 20 years old.
That's great journalism right there.
That's that analysis that I've done. They are the same age, same parents, everything.
That's my man.
Born in the same hospital.
It's the same dad.
Great
Same
parents
doctor
too.
pulled them out.
I saw a piece on the parents. Great parents. I really like. Great parents. Great parents. If you ever get a chance to see them doing some stuff, I just really like their.
So the dad's not gonna be like T. Morant in the front with the Usher sunglasses on and. But listen, I'm looking forward to this draft. Like I said, I don't know many players from here on out. Who are some other players that you think we should be looking at?
First and foremost, the best name in the draft and who I think is a sleeper and probably the best shooter is Grady Dick, Kansas. Love him. Kind of reminds me of, remember Rob Baker played for Wichita, floppy hair, come out and shoot the ball, and gotta love our Pell brothers who are not afraid to step out on the court and get into the trenches. He's a tough kid. I like him. He can really, really shoot the ball. I also there's a kid named Sincere Carey out of Kent State in Ohio. I've been talking about all year. He's got a little Dame Lillard in him, a little bit of Jamal Murray, just a tough little guard. He's just tough. And then I like the little guy, man, Marquise Noel from Kansas State. I think that, it's funny because he's only 5'8", which means he's only 5'6". And but he can get the ball to guys. And in a game today where everybody on the floor wants the ball, a guy that can get the ball to people is a guy that makes people happy. And I think he's a guy who'll probably go G League route, get a call up, and stick. Have a 6 or 7 assist night in 25 minutes and stick. And he'll hop in there.
There was an article posted up about Grady Dick. I'm going to put that up. That's how much I hate the internet.
Huh? You see his outfit?
Possible dick pic at number 10
I'm
for the
done.
Mavs?
Maybe. Maybe. Come on, man. What are we doing?
What are we doing, internet? But yeah, I mean, he's gonna get drafted high. But I mean, that dude could shoot.
He can shoot.
That dude could shoot.
He shoots at the top of his jumper. He elevates. I would like to see him become a quicker shooter. I think that's what separates him from like a Duncan Robinson. I think Duncan Robinson, he gets the ball out of his hands quick. You don't. You just don't want Dick to have the ball too long.
Too long.
You want the ball to get out of Dick's hands.
Don't want him going too hard to the hole. Kind of just stay out there and shoot the three.
Is it a such thing as going too hard to the hole? Look, Keontae George, I want to see. He's out of Baylor.
Okay.
Kind of want to see him. I don't think he's. I think he's going to be a sleeper. As far as what draft prospects coming out. Noah Clowney out of Alabama. I was checking him out. I was like,
Alabama's got a few kids.
They got a couple. They got a couple kids, man. That are just really, really good, man. So
and we have Orlando at number 6, and they have the 11th pick also. Orlando, they feel like they've been, or I feel like they've been stuck in this like no man's land,
and they're going to continue to be
for
stuck
too long. What are they doing with their franchise? What can they do with this draft?
They got to build around
and start.
They got to build around Paolo. I think if they build
Yeah.
around Paolo to be good. Paolo is, if you watch him play, he is very, very, very similar to LeBron. Very similar to LeBron. And if you put guys around him, a guy like Grady Dick, actually, that can, that can kind of do what your boy Austin Reeves does, Duncan Robinson does, spread the floor, be able to catch and shoot off of a skip. And then, I think that building around Paolo will be really good. He's really good in that short corner. He can put the ball on the floor. He can do some things. I think building around him is a good idea. Although he's not your prototypical franchise player, if you build around him, you look up and you have who would have ever thought to build around Jokic?
right.
And look today.
And that's why I think like a Noah Clowney, right, from Alabama would probably go good. I mean, because
And
they
one of
lost.
the Thompsons could drop down to number 6
Yeah,
too.
they could. And Mo Bamba left, right? And so I think they need to get a little bigger in the front court. I don't think that they necessarily need to go heavy on guard right now. I do like Cole Anthony. I like Cole Anthony for that squad.
Yeah.
I think he's, I just think it works.
But the problem I have with and I think he's a traditional point guard, and I really like him too.
Right.
But in this game where you have a lot of point forwards, it's like having a running quarterback and having the best receiver in the league.
Yeah.
Like at some point in time, you're taking away from your unpredictability from the defensive perspective. So when Cole doesn't have the ball, he's not a threat to knock down the outside shot like some of these other guys. And when he doesn't, when Paolo doesn't have the ball, he's not coming off of pin downs. He's not, you know what I mean? So your offense is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde,
Now,
Bates,
you mentioned
he's-
Portland maybe trading Scoot, during the draft or before the draft. Orlando has 2 picks, 6 and 11. If they were to trade, could you see them maybe trading down to get 2 picks with something else like a future first round or something like that? Or are they sticking with Scoot and Dame's definitely gone?
So don't forget that Dame was kind of like hinting that he wanted to leave anyway.
Yeah.
And out of respect, he stayed and balled out. So I think out of respect for him, the ball may, no pun intended, the ball might be in his court.
Right.
I
still think that it I know I keep hearing a lot of times that Scoot, Dame, it's not going to work. They're both dogs. But let's not forget that when CJ McCollum was there, he was a dog too.
And they got to the Western Conference Finals.
Right. And so
he was also a consummate professional with college experience.
really
So
was.
he came in.
did go to Lehigh.
Yeah, so he came in. He came in, and he didn't. It's a very, very unique skill to, not to toot our own horn, but it's like with us to not step on one another's toes, right?
And he is the president of the NBA Players Association.
Much better job than Chris Paul.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a skill to be able to come in and not defer, but also allow the other person to be the dog. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that Portland is looking for that, and it ain't gonna be with a guy like Scoot. Like,
I don't know. It may be. I think Scoot may surprise you. I think he may surprise you, especially when he gets with a guy like Dame Lillard. He may be enamored by Dame Lillard. Like, okay, I'm looking at you as a teacher, a person who can show me,
mentor me,
to mentor me.
Yeah.
So kind of tell me what to do. And I think that
I'm not sure if I feel like he wants to be a star right away, though. Like just
I don't think he wants to be. I understand what you're saying. I don't think he wants to be a star in the sense that he is arrogant.
Right.
And he
Yeah,
just, I'm better than everybody. I just think it's in his DNA. I've
Yeah.
had conversations with this kid, and he's extremely, extremely. Just a nice kid, a humble
Right.
kid, like
Yeah.
not trying to put on a front or anything. The way he talks about his dad and the way that his dad coached him, and the way he looks up to his sister. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not a kid that's arrogantly a dog or wants to be the man, but I just think it's in his DNA. He can't help it.
right.
You know?
But I just think that if he sits down with Dame Lillard, that they may be able to do some things.
It wouldn't
early.
surprise me. Based on his character, it wouldn't
Bingo.
surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Now there's a player, Kobe Buffkin,
Michigan.
coming into the NBA. Should they have to change their first name if their name is Kobe?
No.
Change your first name, bro.
Stop it.
We could do something with that.
We got
last
plenty.
name,
We
though.
got plenty.
Buffkin.
Plenty of Michaels in the league. I don't think there'll ever be another LeBron
Michael's
name.
Jordans.
Right.
You don't
right.
think there'll be LeBrons?
No.
Look how many Shaquilles there are now.
No.
I
In
not
football
met-
and
I only
basketball.
know of one Shaquille. This kid went to Cheyenne High School.
No, there's some in football.
I
There's
don't
one that
really
played for the
know
Lakers
him.
last year, Shaquille Harrison.
I don't really know any. LeBron, that's
Nah.
Because you got
maybe
to
in
think,
the penal
like
system.
people have named
Maybe in the penal system there
Maybe.
might be some LeBrons.
Yeah.
That's you have to go deep in the projects to get
Yeah.
somebody named the kid LeBron.
Yeah.
That's and he,
All right.
he doesn't have the love like that either.
He
though.
don't, bro.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have the love like that.
It depends because
Kobe
Kobe
is universally loved. Kobe is universally loved.
That took a long time though.
It did take a long time.
Yeah,
Took a long time because especially after the Shaq breakup, like it was
And then
he
he
had to
went
win
Mile
2
High.
rings. He had to win 2 rings before.
Yeah.
He and kind of changed his personality too. You know,
But he's still he's universally loved. LeBron, for reasons I won't get into, he isn't.
yeah.
And bigger than that is he isn't in his own community. You know what I mean? It's like he isn't in the black community like that. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't think, because, there's not going to be a LeBron Goldberg. That ain't going to happen.
All right, let's get into some of the transactions that have happened. It's been a whirlwind already. We usually don't see this early. Maybe draft night you start seeing these trades, and then right before free agency and all that. People declining options. So let's get to Chris Middleton, who declined his $40 million
He
player
declined
option.
40.
So I'm thinking he has a secret deal with Milwaukee. He's not getting signed by another team making his money. To me, with all his injuries, he's worth $40 million over the next 3 years. And he could have made $40 million next year. So this to me is saying they want to win another championship in Milwaukee, of course. So maybe this is one of those kind of like, let me restructure my deal with you guys, take this $40 million off the table, and trust that you guys are going to do good business with me and give me a good deal. Is there any way you guys would ever turn down a $40 million 1-year deal?
Oh, did you put it that way? Because I was going to say no matter what you said for $40 million. I think that gotta also look at what is it that it may be Giannis that's saying, no, it may be him behind the scenes that are, he's a valuable piece to his success.
Yeah.
And lots of times guys don't see it.
But if I'm owed $40 million next year, right? I'm not letting you tell me like, hey, you should opt out and then get out of here. I'm taking my $40 million. If you want to trade me with my $40 million, cool. But I'm not just opting out of $40 million to make you guys happy without getting something in return. But I think if he's trying to go to another team, he's not getting that money.
I think somebody will pay for it. At the end of the day, I
You
thought
think
that
he
was.
could get a max?
I don't know. I think a team is dumb enough to do it. It won't be a contender.
Yeah.
If he wants to win,
But he's not even one of those
he's not
big
gonna
name
get-
superstars where you pay this guy a lot to bring him in to sell tickets, though.
Look, Chris Middleton's been hurt and off and on for the past year and a half,
Yeah.
right? And so for him opting out of that $40 million was a hair scratcher to me. it's almost like, all right, let me go out. I've already won a ring, right? I still want to play, but at the same time, I know I'm not going to get big money from a contending team. So how about I just go and play for a bigger bag and not really have a chance to win a chip
I mean,
and stack my chips up.
You're talking about a guy that can shoot. Middleton can shoot the ball, and shooters usually have a little bit more on the tail end of their careers than athletes. You see that with Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin is like, he's a power layup king of the NBA right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you got guys that, right now you could take JJ Redick and put him in a game and he's going to knock down shots. And you're going to have to defend him. You're going to have to come out there and you're going to have to defend him. So Chris Middleton, especially with his length, I think that that $40 million, I don't think he or his agent are concerned with. I think that he's going to get that. I think he's going to get that for the mere fact that.
But having those injuries, like Dre said,
and veteran leadership, I'm telling you,
you could put. I mean, you could put him over in Philly, and that would work.
Yeah, yeah,
that would absolutely work.
Or imagine him. Oh, I'm sorry. Imagine him with LeBron. A guy that or even Banchero. We just talked about a guy that can get the ball in the low block.
Yeah.
Back a defender down and can still see the floor and find guys. Now, when the guys on the opposite side, on the weak side of the ball, can knock down the shot, it's a whole nother story. You're not putting pressure on his knees. Yeah. You're not asking him to put the ball on the floor. He's got to do two things: catch and shoot, or move the ball. If he can be a ball mover that can shoot, he's going to make $40 million.
Now, two questions for you guys. The first one is they had a coaching change. Could that have been a factor in this? Maybe he does want to leave. Maybe he wasn't cool with the coach Giannis wanted to bring in with Adrian Griffin. And then two, do you see him staying in Milwaukee or is he out?
He has options. Is the reason that he's opted out. And I think if I'm Philly, I'm making a hard push at trying to get a Chris Middleton to play with a Joel Embiid over there, right?
And get rid of Harden?
Whether Harden stays there or not, that is a tandem that could actually work.
But see, this is my not issue. This is my I would rather see Joel in more ball screen action than ball in his hand and having to find shooters.
Yeah.
I think guys like Banchero, even Bam Adebayo is really good at that. I think that he is so big and he commands so much area that his passes and his timing of his passes out of the low post to shooters takes so long that it takes away from the closeout time that guys need.
Right.
So I think, I'm telling you, I think that even if you look at a team like Denver, you put Chris Middleton on that team instead of Michael Porter, they might sweep the whole damn playoffs because you're putting a better shooter in the same situation. And there's a lot of teams.
A better defender too. He's a better
and
defender.
a better defender. But I think
Jr.
he's on. He's getting long in the tooth. And I know he's not as old as that picture that you put up because he looked like he was 49 years old in that picture that you put up. He looks like he's
always looked a little old in the face though. But he's
and
still,
I can still see his tooths.
He's not even 30 yet though. Is he 30? He might be 30.
I think he's right.
Maybe
around
30, 31.
32. Which in the NBA is 50.
Yeah.
Especially when guys have been playing since they were 18. But I think that I think putting him, I think he can play a lot of places. And the fact being that the game has shifted so much to that you got to have ball movers and standstill shooters. And man,
I'm
he's
still
valuable.
I'm gonna ride this one for Philly. I think and Philly would have the money if James Harden didn't stay. Right? James Harden leaves, they'll have the money to give Middleton. And I think you start there, you add a couple more pieces. I mean, let's be honest. Chris Middleton in the playoffs, better shooter than James Harden.
Yeah. Well, I tell you this too. I'm really big on this Kyle Lowry thing. I think that Kyle Lowry with Joel Embiid would be really, really good. And now you just say,
I just think he's done, man. He's just
buddy.
Yeah.
Listen, he got a lot.
He got something in it, and you saw in that last game, he's the only one that
had dog in him.
He had fight.
Yes,
like
he
they
did.
didn't. They're good. Miami. Jimmy Butler doesn't have fight in him. Jimmy Butler's just better than you.
Yeah.
Lowry had fight in him, and that's what
Middleton,
Philly doesn't have.
And Joel Embiid. I think that is a recipe.
Philly doesn't
With a new
have that.
coach?
With a new coach, and
It's
then
not
that
Doc
city.
Rivers.
That's another thing too. Is that city?
Yeah.
They embrace that. They love the Clarence Weatherspoons,
definitely.
Charles
Yeah,
Barkley's,
yeah.
dudes that will punch an opponent in the face.
Yeah.
They love that.
Who's their
And,
coach?
Nick Nurse.
Yeah, Nick Nurse from
And who was
Toronto.
Kyle Lowry's coach before?
That's why I
He
said
could
that.
easily
That's
go
why I
there,
said that. That's why I said that.
Boy,
That's why I said that.
boy.
Yeah. So I think that, man, I think that could be something interesting.
Yeah.
And today could make a lot of that happen.
Most
Definitely.
definitely.
You know?
All right, let's move on to a couple more before this draft gets started. Draymond Green opted out as well. Is he looking to move? Do you think he's just trying to get a bigger deal, especially with the trade that happened today with Chris Paul?
That's the only problem I see with
They
that.
traded Jordan Poole, who, Draymond punched, for Chris Paul, who does not finish seasons. Now, if they keep him out all season and just use him for the playoffs, bring him back in March and just play him in the playoffs, this could work. But this is a very weird trade. I thought he was going to the Clippers, and I thought like my nightmare of him going to the Lakers might happen too, which I'm glad it didn't. But him going to I was not expecting this at all. So first, Draymond Green, do we think he's staying or going?
I think Draymond is staying.
Okay.
I think he's going to restructure some things over in Golden State. I think he wants to finish his career in Golden State. You have Dunleavy over there that's taken over the GM position since Bob is gone. And so I don't know what they did by getting rid of Poole, but I know by getting rid of Poole, that means Draymond is staying. Unless they say, you know what, we're going to get rid of both. But I think Draymond is staying, bringing in Chris Paul, and I don't think that they're done. This may not even be Chris Paul's final home right now.
Yeah.
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 And my man Jeff
Because
Adams
Chris Paul's
said,
done this before.
My man Jeff Adams said Poole unfollowed Draymond on social media after the trade.
Well, he should have unfollowed him after he
the
got
punch,
knocked out.
After he got
Yeah. I think he'll end up unfollowing a lot of the people with the Warriors organization because he was just a problem. I know some people that's around them, and he was just a problem. He doesn't get it. He's selfish. He's a whole bunch of
Well, why
things that
pay him
weren't
then?
fitting.
Well, they enabled him by
Yeah,
doing that.
Exactly. And now they realize, like, you know what I mean? I text Anderson Hunt today, and I told him I think Chris Paul about to average 7 points and 29 assists a game on that team. Like, I mean, if he plays with that team,
Yeah.
wow.
And
Wow.
Steph has been crossing him over so much that I'm interested to see. Like, I'm actually very excited to watch them play together. I do hope Chris Paul can stay healthy. Like, just one more year, stay healthy, because this is very interesting. It could either go totally wrong, or this could be a great, amazing
He's
move.
also not been healthy because he's had to do so much. Like, you know what I mean? I think this is a team where he won't have to lift as much.
No, all he has to do is bring the ball across half court like point guards do.
Yeah.
Since
Well,
Steph
this is
is not the point guard. And,
This is the interesting thing about them, though, Dre, is I say this to people all the time. Steph doesn't bring the ball up. He enters, he throws the ball up to Draymond. They run scissor action off of that.
Yep.
But I think what they may do with Chris Paul, if they're going to stay in that system, is that they may move Draymond to like a 5. And then what they would do is do that same type of action with Chris Paul, but now have the ball screen action added to it.
Yeah.
Which they did that a little bit with, it was a few years ago. I forget who it was. They had a point guard that was with them for a hot second. They kind of did that a little bit with Looney.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because Draymond isn't making the type of decisions that he made before. He doesn't have the knees and the quickness to. But I think if you bring him from a low block up to set the ball screen, I think you can get some action out of that. And
All right, we're gonna take a vote here right now. There's 3 of us in the room, so this is it forever. Like, this is the final vote ever.
Okay.
Is Steph a point guard or a shooting guard?
No, he's a shooting guard.
Shooting guard.
The greatest, the greatest shooter of all time. He is not.
Wait,
a point guard.
I thought a couple weeks ago you put him in the point guard.
No, I did not.
No, buddy.
Okay, that was somebody else. Then I thought
Somebody
we
else.
had
He is
that
not
conversation.
a point guard.
You know, I did a post today saying
not a point guard.
But now that
Chris
PG
Paul.
is over in Golden State, is Steph gonna
Be the backup
move
point guard?
away from the point now, or
Or stay in the shooting guard
please
position
make it
that
make
he's been
sense.
in?
I mean,
He's a shooting guard. So
Shooting
we
guard.
agree right now. He's a shooting guard. Anybody that argues that is wrong. He is a point guard. What's this do for Jordan Poole, though? This is you're going from a team that's in the hunt every year to go into a Wizards team that is rebuilding, and they're not a good rebuilding team.
No.
It's going to take them a long time
Now
to do anything.
Now that Kyle Kuzma is opting out and he wants to become a free agent,
and he's going to go. He's not staying in Washington. He's not staying around with the rebuild.
I think if Kyle Kuzma wants to get his money, he'll stay in Washington. No contending team is going to pay Kyle Kuzma a lot of money.
Does Washington want to pay him, though? If they're blowing everything up, and they've made some trades that are very
I think
questionable.
they will because everybody's gone. They got to get rid of that money. They have to get rid of the money.
You have to spend the money.
Yeah, you have to spend it. So give it to Kyle Kuzma another 3 years. Kyle Kuzma. I don't think Kyle Kuzma's going anywhere. I think he's just gonna stay, up his ante and stay in Washington now that Beal is gone, because now he's gonna feel like he's the man. And I kind of want to see what Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole will do kind of together.
I do not want to see that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of.
I do not want
That's
to
gonna
see
be a
that.
lot of low basketball
Let me tell you
IQ
something.
right
That
there.
is terrible.
They are the new Memphis Grizzlies. That is clown ball over there. Jordan Poole is gonna probably be third in the league in scoring. They probably won't win 50 games.
And Jeff just said that in the YouTube comments. We're on YouTube and Facebook, so we appreciate everybody for tuning in live. Jordan Poole will experience averaging 26 points a game and losing every night.
Yeah,
It's
and
very
he'll be
possible.
happy. He'll be
He
happy.
will be, yeah.
He'll be happy.
He'll be jacking up threes from half court, making
And Kyle-
2 out of 10.
Kyle Kuzma will have a highlight a game, and he'll be happy with that.
That's it.
And that's what their problems are.
And then let's talk about the weird trade that happened last night, because it was supposed to happen yesterday afternoon, and then the Clippers were involved, and then all of a sudden that got knocked down, and then Porzingis went to Boston. Boston got everything in this trade. I'm like, wait, they got first-round picks and Porzingis. They only gave up Marcus Smart, which is that's a big thing for their team, but at the same time, that team was not working.
No.
They weren't able to.
It wasn't Marcus Smart's fault.
Not necessarily his fault, but what I'm saying is they had to
Can't
do,
be a defender's fault.
that's real.
And a leader in that locker room.
Porzingis, he had a good year last year in Washington. A lot of people don't realize that because nobody watched them. He's had health issues basically his whole career, though.
Yeah, it's hard. He's got a heart problem, right?
Everything.
Yeah, I think that's his problem.
Yeah. But him going to
only had
Boston,
him.
but then Boston got some first-round picks, so like taking that risk. But I look at what Washington got; they didn't really get anything in this trade. I guess getting rid of Porzingis'
that
contract.
was what they got.
That's what they got.
That's what they got.
Got
They got
rid
rid
of
of
the contract.
Porzingis.
And they got rid of,
Heartless champion.
they still got to pay Bill. They're getting rid of that contract also. They're just kind of in a rebuilding mode. I don't see what Boston sees in Kristoff, but I don't think it makes them better. I don't. I think losing Marcus Smart is going to show you during the course of the season and the playoffs, if they make it, how valuable Marcus Smart was to that team. He
So
was
you're
the
saying
heartbeat.
Boston might not make the playoffs?
I don't think so. They're gonna struggle, and I think Danny Ainge doubled down on Masula, the coach.
Yep.
And I think that might have been a mistake as well. Danny Ainge is being crafty with what he does.
Well, Ainge is in.
Yeah, not
Brad
Ainge,
Stevens.
Brad Stevens.
Yeah, Brad Stevens.
He's been crafty with what he
Yes,
does,
yeah.
but I think that I think this is going to be a big mistake on his part.
I think so.
I think it'll be a big mistake on his part.
Yeah.
I mean, they kept Brogdon, right? He's still there.
They kept Brogdon. He was in the original trade, so
Which
he was gone.
I thought was
he was going to the
bad
Clippers.
to get rid of Brogdon anyway.
But that was good for the. He was going to the Clippers, right?
Yeah, he was going to the Clippers. It would
That
have been
would've been
great
good for the
It would have been
Clippers, yeah.
great for the Clippers.
Yeah.
If everybody stayed healthy, but at the same time, Brogdon is still over in Boston. I think that's gonna, keep them in contention.
Yeah.
But I think they're gonna struggle. They're gonna really, really miss
Brogdon
Marcus
is the
Smart.
guard that wears
And-
11,
and
right?
real
He's
quick-
got the
He's
sad
good.
face
Yeah,
filter.
he always looks sad. The pick is in. San Antonio picked Scoot Henderson. No, they picked Victor Wembanyama.
Victor Wembanyama.
Listen, and I've been watching his games. We talked about him a few weeks ago, and so I started like keying in on his games a lot more. And he's different. I've
Yeah.
never seen a player like him.
No.
So if he doesn't get hurt,
He got them 1990 slacks on. They're a little thickery in the material. I need you to get a little slim foot.
Trying to hide that thigh. That thigh ain't got no meat.
Marcus Smart going to Memphis, though. I mean, they
Great.
needed a vet with John Morant. He's
No,
not
they
gonna,
just needed somebody to replace Dylan Brooks. To be actually what Dylan Brooks pretended to be, they needed somebody to come in. And,
Is Dylan
he's
Brooks still
definitely-
there, right?
No, he left.
well, not.
Well, he's leaving.
He's going to. He's
yeah.
going to.
I-
They said he will not be coming back. So,
Yeah.
Well, I think it helps Memphis. I think Memphis scored a huge W by getting a Marcus Smart. He's a locker room guy. He'll be able to mentor Baines and John Morant, and at the same time be the defensive catalyst to a defensive-minded
Defensive-minded
team.
team, yeah.
And I think it just really fits. This was as a basketball fan, this was great to see a real basketball move for the franchise.
Because
Moving
like I
forward.
told you guys that they're front runners.
Yep.
They talk real like this, that, and the
Yeah.
other, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And I think that we know now that the main person that was pushing that kind of vibe
Yep.
was Dylan Brooks. Now you get Dylan Brooks out of the picture, and now you bring in a guy like
Yeah.
Marcus Smart that's like, yo, you ain't built like that. Shut up.
But let's
But you
talk,
are, you are.
let's
Let's
talk,
do, you know what I mean?
Because I'm kind of built
Yeah.
like that, and I'm not even acting like
But
that.
let's talk about the impact it's going to have on someone like John Morant. Missing the first 25 games. They've needed a leader in the locker room, and I think Marcus Smart is that.
Yeah.
Because who was their leader before? Like, they had
I'm telling you,
Steven
it was-
Adams in there.
I'm telling
as
you,
a
it was
vet.
Dylan Brooks. And it sounds crazy, but it was Dylan
Right.
Brooks. And this is the thing. This is the perfect way for a locker room guy like Marcus Smart to come into a team, because since John Morant, who's the face of the franchise, is going to be sitting for 25 games, it gives him a lot of time to not only lead the team, but to lead in different ways and see what works and still confer with Ja. So when Ja comes in, he
Yeah.
adds to it. It's a good situation. Like you said, it's a great basketball move.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Looking forward to it. Victor Wembanyama's brother looks exactly like him, by the way, just a little bit
Yeah,
shorter.
I keep getting confused. I'm like, what?
looks exactly like him.
And
And he's emotional. His sister looks like him too, but she's prettier.
He's surprised that he was the number one pick. They've been
nah,
saying it for
it's
2
just the
years.
emotion of finally getting there after all that. I don't know about the blue couches.
the casting couches.
Yeah, look like that.
Well, his
Fancy
sister's
house.
Was there any other transactions before we get out?
Not that I noticed.
No.
I mean, the Bradley Beal was a little obvious.
Yeah, Bradley. Bradley Beal was getting traded. I don't know if it was obvious him going to Phoenix. So let's talk about that real quick. What does that do for Phoenix? Because now they're still super top heavy like they already were. Bradley Beal, same thing, man. He hasn't been super healthy
I've
lately,
never
but
been
at
a
the
Bradley
same
Beal
time,
fan.
is he kind of injured because he's on a bad team? You know how some people just don't want to come back.
Yeah.
So let me tell you what I think the Phoenix Suns did. They took a page out of what the Nets did. Before Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving came over to the Nets were dogs. They had that LeVert, they had that squad over there that was just really young, up and coming, and they broke it all down to bring superstars over to that team, and they just were never the same. They can never recover. That's exactly
feels
what
exactly the same,
Phoenix
bro.
Suns did. They had a really
good
good
young
thing
players.
going with those guys, Cam and the other guard that plays over in for the Nets, but
Who's killing it?
Yeah.
Killing it.
Killing it.
Mikal.
Mikal
Yeah.
Bridges.
Bridges.
They had a really good thing, and then you broke it down, and now you bring in 3 superstars, and now you don't have a bench.
And me and Coach Shay were talking about that before you walked in. Denver won because they've kept building on their team. And the NBA is at a point where if you don't win this year, we're blowing it up to try to get more superstars to start over again. Phoenix had made it to the NBA Finals. Granted, they did play every team they played leading to the finals. One of their best players were hurt, but they still got to the NBA Finals, right? They had a good young core. They had a good bench. They had, you have Devin Booker. Like, that's all you need with a good bench to keep building on that. You didn't have to blow it up. Denver won because they didn't blow up the team when at times they could have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we see this too much in the NBA. And Phoenix got a new owner, so he's coming in just like spending money. Buy this guy.
He's
not
listening to
knowing,
Isaiah
probably not
Thomas,
knowing the
too.
game of basketball. And yeah, you bring Isaiah in, who's what's he done as an executive at NBA? You know, he's done a lot of damage to teams. So to me, it's not a good move because you could have used that money or those trades to bring in a bench. All you need is, if you have Kevin Durant and Booker, fill out a bench. You really only need two superstars.
And that's why
3 stars don't work anymore on teams. You need
that's
2
why
superstars
I think
in the
they're
bench.
not finished. I think DeAndre Ayton has to go.
But how much are you
Been
getting for
saying
him,
this.
though?
Listen,
How much are you getting for him, though?
doesn't matter what you're getting from him.
Yep.
You have seen the best of DeAndre Ayton.
Yes, you have.
No, I know
not-
that, but I'm saying they need a bench. They need something else.
You
so,
can
so
get
what are you getting for
something. You
him?
can get a bench for him. You could. You can trade him over to Indiana Pacers and go over and get two guys, a draft pick or whatever, and
He's the last big that can't shoot the ball.
That's it.
Like, you know what I mean?
Send
Steven
his-
Adams shoot the ball better than him.
Roy Hibbert playing tail right over to Indiana and let
And
him.
then Charlotte's picking right now. So let's see. Is it Brandon Miller or Scoot?
Brandon Miller.
Brandon.
Miller.
Good job. I mean, because Charlotte screwed up picks a lot. I mean, the LaMelo Ball
Right.
was a great pick.
Yeah, like they say in the playoffs.
I like the Bridges.
The
playoffs,
other Bridges pick was. I mean, but looking back
yeah.
at it now, he's
Yeah.
where's he at?
like they say in the playoffs don't begin until someone wins on the home court.
Yep.
The draft doesn't really matter until there's a
Till
trade.
Anthony Bennett's draft.
Until there's a trade. Once there's a trade, then everything. Then the draft really starts happening. Starts impacting next
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think LaMelo and Brandon is going to be something to watch over at Charlotte.
And I don't know if you guys feel like me, but I want to see Charlotte be good. Like, I've wanted them to be good for so long. I've always liked Charlotte since Larry Johnson. So I hope this is something that propels them up to getting them into the playoffs finally. You know, they need that. And you know, Jordan's selling the team and keeping a little bit of it. But, I think that's a good move, man. He's a really good player.
What I had in my notes as I was saying, and looking at this, I'm very impressed with my analogy. He's Bam Adebayo with a jump shot. He's with offense. You know what I mean? He's long. He can just
And he's still growing. I don't think he's completely grown into his bones yet. I think he has a huge amount of upside.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good pick, Charlotte. Good pick.
All right, very interesting. Listen, man, I appreciate you guys coming through. This was fun. It felt good, man. Good combination. So, you know, we'll talk about doing that NBA show at the beginning of the year. You know what I'm saying? But we'll definitely do this again because, you know, the draft's here. It's about to be done, and then Summer League's coming up. Yeah. And then we have, we got free agency and all that stuff coming up. So a lot going on in the NBA. So we will be here, every week. So I'll let you guys know when we'll be back next week. But you guys can join whenever, man. I definitely appreciate having you guys on. Listen, man, follow at Unnamed Sports Show on all social media and follow at Gorilla Cross on all social media. Check out Dre Bailey, Saturday, 2 p.m. West Coast time on Let the Ball Bounce Sports Talk with Goose and whoever else wants to join that week, if they want to join. If you guys want to join, man, just come down. There's open seats somewhere.
It is. It is.
But definitely appreciate it. Can you announce anything?
No, I cannot.
Okay. I didn't want to just, say it, but,
He did me like Marilyn Monroe and JFK. I think.
But he's doing some big things. So
That's what's up.
Yeah, I'll be
some
around.
good stuff happening.
I'm going to be around.
Yeah. So we definitely appreciate it. You guys tune into the draft. All 10 of you watching us tune into the draft right now. And we appreciate it. And we
Share
will
the
see you
live
guys.
feed, man.
Share the live, share the replay. And if you like what we're doing, man, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. We appreciate it. For Dre Bailey and Coach Che, I'm Quan59. We're out. Peace.
Yeah.